Space travel. It's one of humanity's most truly miraculous achievements, building the technology to defy gravity and journey into the stars above, a place our ancestors could only dream of going. Throughout history, humans have found gods and heroes in the constellations, and today when we look up into the sky, we have the privilege of knowing that flesh and blood mortals live up there alongside them. It's humbling, inspirational, and a downright awesome thing. But of course, there's always going to be naysayers, people who just want to rain on our interstellar parade. And nobody fits this bill harder than people affected by an anomalous phenomenon classified by the SCP Foundation as SCP-2001, the Space Oddity. And before you ask, no, the late David Bowie is not and never has been an SCP. To truly understand this anomaly, we need to take a look at 3 different people who are affected by it to varying degrees. Let's start with your friend Kevin. Even if you don't have a friend called Kevin, you definitely have at least a casual acquaintance just like him. Kevin is a very confident man with plenty of ill-informed opinions he'd be more than happy to argue about until the heat death of the universe. He's the kind of guy who can turn a discussion about your favorite movie into World War III, but you never knew until recently that he held such strong opinions on space travel. One day you were discussing the latest rocket launch with a mutual friend of yours while Kevin just happened to be in earshot. The second you start talking about how exciting it'll be to one day put a person on Mars, he swaggers over, face twisted into a grimace. You're already preparing for him to say something cringe-inducing, and Kevin being Kevin, he doesn't disappoint. Ugh, don't tell me you two dweebs are talking about space travel. What a stupid waste of money. You guys know there's nothing but rocks up there, right? Aliens don't exist. It's all just another excuse for dumb scientists to waste my tax dollars on playing with their stupid toys. How about you two talk about something that really matters? You may be thinking Kevin is just a jerk, and he definitely is, but he's also a victim of SCP-2001. You see, 2001 is described as an anomalous series of neural oscillations that occur during 3 of the 4 stages of sleep, namely NREM, or non-rapid eye movement sleep. During one of these 3 stages, the amygdala, a part of the brain also known as the lizard brain, enters a heightened state of activity for 10 to 15 minutes. Once the process has started, even waking up the affected individual will do nothing to stop the actual infection. There are no traits that predispose people to SCP-2001 infection. It appears to infect people in equal measures regardless of age, gender, and race. Spectrographic analysis on the afflicted has shown that the condition may not be intraneural, meaning originating within the brain, and may actually be the product of an outside influence. The invariable effect of SCP-2001 is the infected developing negative feelings towards the concept of space travel, and increasing gradations of severity depending on which stage of NREM sleep the anomaly began to take effect. Of real concern to the Foundation is that SCP-2001 seems to be manifesting with increasing frequency in astronomers, astronauts, and individuals who otherwise deal with space. The SCP-2001 case manifests in 3 different varieties: Gamma, Beta, and Alpha. Each variety has its own unique traits and idiosyncrasies. We've encountered a Gamma type already, your dear friend Kevin. This is the most mild type of SCP-2001 infection, and also the most common, affecting at least 1% of the global population. It occurs for those who were infected during the 2nd stage of NREM sleep. People with Gamma-type SCP-2001 infection will, for the most part, seem like their normal selves, save for a disparaging attitude towards the concept of space travel. Whenever it's brought up, they'll likely complain and change the subject immediately, but it won't affect their behavior too much overall. The same cannot be said for people with Beta-type SCP-2001 infection. Meet Riley. You've never spoken to Riley before, but she's a young woman who likes to hang out at your local cafe, often seen frantically typing on her laptop. You assume she's writing a screenplay or a novel, but in fact she's posting simultaneously on multiple conspiracy forums. Among her favorite theories are that the Earth is flat, space is a hologram, and the moon landing was faked by Stanley Kubrick, director of such films as The Shining and, appropriately, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You made the heinous mistake of going to your local cafe at the same time as Riley one morning while wearing a NASA baseball cap, an error that you would come to regret deeply. You bought a latte and decided to sit down for a moment. Just the briefest little rest, but that was all the time Riley needed. Her eyes seemed to burn with hatred. You asked if there was anything you could do to help her, and she responded,
"You're just buying into some propaganda. Do you have any idea what NASA really stands for? It's never a straight answer. All their supposed achievements, the moon landing, the ISS, dehydrated astronaut food, it's all a big sham. NASA is just some slush fund for corrupt government officials. No human has ever been able to survive in space. It's too dangerous. Anyone sent up there will die immediately, no exceptions. And even if they did, it would be pointless. Space is just a dark, infinite void that goes on forever. It's just a big pile of dangerous lies."
"Oh, my goodness." Feeling awkward, you decide to just get up and leave. That's when Riley grabs your NASA cap right off your head and throws it in the trash. That's fine. You don't intend on going back for it. You just keep walking, trying your best to move calmly out the door. Wise decision, because Riley is actually a beta-type SCP-2001 infectee. As you can probably tell, beta cases are a lot more severe than gamma cases, and people infected with them seem to come off as deranged conspiracy theorists with a rabid hatred of all space travel. They'll form elaborate fantasies about the falsification of space travel, and will often decry it as too pointless or dangerous to ever be undertaken. But, of course, the danger of beta types pale in comparison to alpha types. These are people infected by SCP-2001 during REM sleep, the stage of sleep typically associated with dreaming. As a result, its effects on the mind are far more dangerous and profound. Take, for instance, the tragic case of SCP Foundation junior researcher Martinez. He was one of the many operatives stationed at Foundation Outpost 12, a complex that works in coordination with NASA to launch both manned and unmanned missions into space on behalf of the Foundation's interests. It's a valuable asset to the Foundation in investigating and combating space-based anomalies. Martinez, who had previously spent time working with SCP-2001 infected D-classes, was part of ground control, something that would prove to be a literally fatal oversight on the part of the Foundation. During the early stages of takeoff for a manned craft, Martinez seemed to become extremely agitated. Over time, this agitation steadily increased and eventually became a full-on breakdown as the rocket ascended. He pulled out some kind of strange, anomalous control device and began disrupting the operations of the rocket. Martinez was shot dead by guards as a defensive measure, but it was already too late. The craft exploded, and everyone on board was tragically killed. Later investigation into the incident found a crucial piece of evidence tying junior researcher Martinez to SCP-2001. They discovered a journal entry he'd written shortly before his breakdown, which seemed to have been written in a completely different style to prior entries, implying that some kind of massive psychological shift had occurred. The following is the contents of that journal entry. "I wish to state first that my mind and body are perfectly sound. I am prepared to submit myself to any and all tests to prove that I am clean. I have the answer to SCP-2001. Just yesterday, during an interview with an alpha-infected D-class, I was asked a question that stopped my mind for a minute. The woman I was interviewing asked me if I knew the Foundation was right. I said no, I wasn't sure. Then she asked me, what if we were right? I could only assume that by we, she meant 2001 carriers. I said nothing for a while, and then she spoke. She told me of a dream she'd had a while ago. She said that something talked to her, told her about how dangerous outer space was. It showed her the beasts that roamed the void between stars, about the fractal beings that absorbed the very fabric of reality, about the expunged that was keeping in that godforsaken door, and she was scared. She told me at the end of the dream as she woke up, it told her what it was. It's all of space. Space fears us. We're living, breathing life forms, and space loves us and cherishes us. She asked me if I had any idea what the chances of intelligent life forming on another planet are. Then she told me a number that took 1.5 minutes to recite. By this point, I couldn't speak. I started thinking about the demographics of infection, about the symptoms, about more expunged data here. And suddenly, it all made sense. Some of the things she said stuck in my brain, and they all added up to the same thing, that we are in grave danger if we go out there. We can't go out there. We can't. There's a reason behind SCP-2001, and it's nowhere near as terrifying as all of my colleagues think. Space wants to protect us. There are things out there that would wipe humanity clean off of this plane of existence, and we are too precious to our mother, to our host, to the universe we live in for her to allow that to happen. What I am going to do tomorrow is not the result of infection. It is not the result of madness. It is not a result of anything other than purest knowledge. You see, I found out the truth, and it's more beautiful than I could have ever dreamed. Given what Martinez would later go on to do, it's clear that he wasn't in as sound a state of mind as he thought. As you've probably already gathered, people suffering from alpha-type SCP-2001 infection will do anything they can to actively prevent or sabotage attempts at space travel. This is a minor concern when it comes to civilians, but when it infects people who actually work in these fields, like junior researcher Martinez, it can have devastating results. But this isn't where this story ends. While it's currently extremely classified, there is actually a fourth category of SCP-2001 infection, discovered in the wake of Martinez's death. A key element of the alpha strain is that it cannot cause people to perform acts that they would find immoral, such as murdering the entire crew of a manned shuttle with a crash. However, the fourth category, known as Alpha Prime, does away with any moral compunctions whatsoever. People infected with this virus will prevent space travel by any means necessary. And unlike other SCP-2001 infections, you aren't compromised in your sleep this time. The vector for infection is simply talking to someone infected with the regular alpha strain and hearing a few key trigger phrases. That's how junior researcher Martinez caught it from D classes he was working with. What are these key phrases? We still don't know. But if you find that you suddenly have much stronger opinions about space travel than you've ever had before, try to keep them to yourself. Now check out SCP-096, look at a picture of the Shy Guy in Space, SCP-096 Questions and Theories, and SCP-5000Y, the full compilation for more fascinating Foundation facts.